Sovereignty, control, jobs, and British identity. Immigration is one of the biggest issues in the EU referendum. For more than 40% backing Brexit, it's the most important factor. In 2015, net migration in the UK rose to 330,000, the second highest figure on record. Of this, 184,000 were from EU countries, while 188,000 were from outside the EU. The government has a target of getting net migration down to 100,000 a year. The Leave camp says that's a promise that cannot be fulfilled while the UK stays in the EU. But that's something the Remain camp doesn't accept. Each side is accusing the other of mistruths and political spin. So where does each side sit on immigration? And what are the facts?
We're not against anybody, but we think it is irresponsible to have an open door.
At the moment, we have no control over our borders.
And we will lose more control.
For the Leave campaign, the EU represents unchecked, uncontrollable migration. They argue that EU migrants are putting strain on public services. They also say migrants are taking jobs from British workers and that they've driven down wages. The fear of an influx of Syrian refugees has also played into the Leave campaign's argument, as well as the EU's deal with Turkey that would grant visa-free travel to Turkish citizens. It is warned that Turkey could be a full EU member by 2020, and that millions of its citizens would flood into the UK.
Yes, we do need to do things to control immigration.
You do not control immigration by wrecking your economy.
It would be madness to try to do that by trashing our economy.
That seems to me like a crazy thing to do.
For Remain, immigration is being given a positive spin. They argue those coming from the EU pay more in taxes than they take out, and that they are good for the UK economy. Studies suggest the negative impacts on jobs and wages argued by Leave aren't significant, and British Prime Minister David Cameron's deal with the EU will limit benefits for new migrants for the first 4 years. Remain has accused Leave of scaremongering and lying to voters, especially with exaggerated warnings about Turkey. David Cameron has dismissed this, saying Turkey would join the EU by the year 3000, and that the visa-free deal applies to the Schengen zone, of which the UK is not a part. But perhaps Remain's strongest argument is that leaving the EU may not end EU migration. That's because to have full access to the single market, the UK may be forced to accept deals like Norway and Iceland and keep free movement. A week out from the referendum, the Remain camp is trying to focus the debate on the economy. But for voters, immigration could end up the deciding factor. Yvette McCullough, The Newsmakers.